Hey everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video I just want to show you a new tool I have developed, which is a little helper script for setting up focus. So it's pretty basic. So while we wait for a few more guys to show up, I will be setting up the scene, duplicating this little geometry here of a crab, and then at some point I will just show you how it works. So I currently just have one light here, and I have this elbow crab, it's called. So let's just rename this nicer. And I just want to assign a basic shader, so we have something a bit more interesting. Standard surface shader, a ground plane, and then I'll just duplicate it a few times. This is real scale, so oh well, the crab is not, but the light is 1 meter, so I can actually, I guess the crab is not that big. So let's just divide this by 2, so it is still a pretty large crab, but it's not too crazy big. Anyways, this is just about the focus, so I just want to show you how this works and where you can get that in the end. So let's just duplicate this guy a few times. Unfortunately, it's going down in Z, but it doesn't matter. I'll just wait a few more minutes until we start. So before we go into placing it, I'll just create a new camera. Here we go. Let's just hide this view. It's a bit distracting. Oh yeah, I currently don't have the chat open. I am not really planning to do like a Q&A, so I won't show you the chat for now. So check in here, and as you can see, this is nothing really fancy what I'm doing here. It's just quickly positioning objects, and then I'll be showing you how the focus rig works. Also, there's nothing too crazy going on either. Turn off tear off a copy. So I'll just middle mouse drag the camera in here. So this is my camera view, and then I can just place my objects a bit. Obviously they are not ideal, but we'll see how the render looks in a bit. Okay, so that's my main object, and then I have this guy here. I always like to use scans because they're just more detailed, and it's a bit nicer to look at. So here we have a little army of crabs. Okay, so and then obviously I have my light source, which is currently front facing. It has a texture applied. There's like a studio light texture on it. So let's just save this scene, maybe rotate these guys down, and I guess I'll duplicate this just that I have another one for the full side, maybe like this, and then I'll be adjusting them. So let's bring up this guy. I'm just turning it off, the chat, so I can actually see it a bit better. There we go. Anyways, so let's just start the render and see what we got. Test resolution 50%, and we shouldn't have any lights because I think the default is the exposure is way too low, so let's just bring that up. So let's just try maybe 10. Yeah, I will definitely explain the focus rig. I did not even start yet, so just give me a minute to do so. As you can see, I can't even get a image rendering, so let's just boost these guys. Oh, that's too much. 15 here. Let's try the other one. Maybe 20. It depends on what texture you load in, and then it gets darker or brighter depending on the texture. As you can see, it's not really working. I'm not sure why. Interesting. 2, 2. Something is wrong, as you can see. It's not behaving as I would expect it to. So why is this not rendering? Oh, I know why this one is not rendering, because I did the same mistake as last time. I duplicated the light and forgot to plug in the texture. So now we should see something, hopefully. There we go. Okay, it should just be a bit more appealing than having one light source. I must tell you, this is not really looking that good. But that's not the point. I guess the point is how the focus rig works and what the benefits are. So let's just say this is my render, and I will just show off how it works now. So normally what you would need to do is to create a nice depth of field effect. You would need to measure the distance of the object you want to have in focus, and then you need to remember that distance. So if I look through my render camera here, and I have object details enabled, I can actually see the distance from camera for the selected object. You can see this is 36 units. This light is 345 units. And depending on that, you would go to your render camera, and inside of the Arnold tab, you would have the focus distance where you would put in this number. So you need to remember 36.87. You would go to camera, put that in here, 36.87, and then enable depth of field, and then play with the aperture. And then depending how good you pick your position, you can see that this point is now in focus and the rest is out of focus. So it's not as intuitive, I must say. Like for simple scenes, obviously this would be enough, or for still images, but let's say you have an animation, then it gets tricky, definitely. So the main idea, because I do my renders a lot with depth of field, I kind of got annoyed by always doing that. So it's pretty simple script. So what you need to do, you select your render camera. So this is how it works. You select the camera first, and then the object you want to have in focus. So I select the camera here, and I select, let's say, this crab here. I go to my light shader menu, go to helper, and click on the focus rig. And what it's doing, it's actually constraining, it's creating a measurement tool, and actually is parenting the first locator to the camera nodal point, and then it's creating a LS focal point locator. And depending where this guy is, the distance in here, it's hardly visible, but you can see the distance there is being adjusted. And then inside the camera, if I just copy this tab out, you can see that under the Arnold tab, if I select the locator again and I move the focus point, it's automatically adjusting that. So there, it's super simple script. It's nothing really fancy, but it's just a big helper when I want to place focal points. So I just want to show it to you in action. So as you can see, I've set it up so the focal point is now on this crab there, and now if I just move it to the foreground one on his arm, you can see that this thing is in focus. And it's very simple. And you can actually animate this guy. You can now see the crab in the back is in focus. Yeah, so it's pretty simple. Yeah, so, and obviously the next question is how do you get that? So obviously it's from my lightshader repo. I just updated the page, so you can go to lightshader.de. I just paste this in the chat. You go right there, and then you can go to downloads up here, and then I just updated this page. So the top one is the latest, so release version 0.09, is the one which you would download. So you can either click directly on this link, or you can go to the Bitbucket repo, and then you can see all the older versions here, and you can just download them right there. And if you're not sure how to install light shaders, there is a dedicated tutorial for that, and this BAT file is also a big help. So if you don't mind, you can use that to install it. It's a lot easier. Yeah, so what else? Oh, obviously you can still change the aperture size. So I just defaulted it to a value of 1. Obviously in most cases 1 is too high, so you can just regulate this 0.2 or something, and you don't have this strong effect, but it's still out of focus. So now if I just snap my focus point to the one in the front again, holding V, middle mouse drag, and is it snapping? Snapping, come on. It's like these crabs are super dense, so it takes a while to find the correct vertex to snap to. But yeah, now you see how that works. And I'm a big fan of scattering, so if I just render the small region and disable diffuse and go to subsurface, enable this guy, random walk, make a really tiny scale, and maybe just try catch up or something, just for the kicks. Maybe 1 is good. Yeah, 1 is actually good. So now we have some interesting crabs, like jelly crabs or whatever. So I'm just popping over the chat window, so feel free to ask any questions regarding the depth of field thing, or if you have any other helpers you would like to see. So let's see. I'm just going through the chat quickly. So that's explained. Should we continue use Arnold instead of RenderMan? It's up to you. It's just another tool. You can use RenderMan, you can use Redshift. Nowadays they're all pretty similar. They're all physically based, one more than others, but most of them are pretty much the same, just different parameters or setting names or something. Yeah, the shading engine thing is it's pretty nifty. Like, I got so annoyed always by shading group engine 1, 2, 3, and this renamer is just like, it helps my workflow to update things rather quick. So that's why I have that. Why did you choose specific for one render engine? The thing is, I do my tutorials for one render engine because nowadays they are still very specific. Like, obviously the main principles apply, like how does a ray trace or how does scattering work and all that stuff. But there are still some minor differences, and that's why I don't know, I just got used to doing it for Arnold. I'm actually thinking of opening up another YouTube channel, which is dedicated for RenderMan. But I'm not 100% sure yet because it takes a lot of time to set this whole thing up. So we'll see. Yeah, sure. ZPass would be a lot faster. Obviously, it's not that accurate. ZPass is not that accurate because, like, you always get these artifacts around the edges. So, but even in VFX productions, it's very rare that you render depth of field because it breaks the image, right? You cannot really do some refocusing after. So, in most cases, I would render deep, like in a production, I would render deep alpha, and with that alpha pass, I can generate a very accurate depth pass. I just changed the base color to 0 because a subsurface shader is fully subsurface and doesn't have diffuse contribution. Unless you want to have like a skin shader with some dust or some dirt on top, then you would have a base, which would be the fuse. That's why it's off. Yeah, so again, Focus Rig is there to help you easily find the focus points. So it just creates a locator, and you can position the locator, and then based on that, your focus is being adjusted. And there are some minor checks when you create this. So let's say you don't select anything and hit Focus Rig. you get a warning, hey, first select the camera, then the object. If you do it the other way around, first the object, then a camera, I think it should also complain. So it's important, first the camera, then the object, and then it should all be working. Deep file size kill me. Well, you can adjust the deep threshold to make it more manageable. Do you know IFX Clarice? I know Clarice, I'm not sure what IFX is. Anyways, I'm heading out now. We still have sun here in Vancouver, so thanks for tuning in for this quick live session. Check out the focus rig. It might be helpful to you guys. Have a great Sunday if you still have some of that left, and see you in the next session.